Are you there, sir?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. So we are now streaming. We are now
You're
live.
streaming on the page.
Yes, sir. Check out the
Uh,
streaming and see if it's working.
I'm going on right now.
Cool.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, here we are.
All right. So I'm in there. You got to move your screen down a little bit.
Better?
Hold on, because there's a delay. So hold on 1 second.
Sure.
I'll tell you. I think it's like a 30-second to a minute delay. Hold on, I just paused it. No, it's too big. It's too big. Yeah, I wasn't saying make it larger. I was saying just move the camera down.
There
It
we
was
go.
it's too big. Yeah, it's way too big.
Better?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
Am I frozen though?
No, you're moving.
Because on the thing that I'm looking at, it looks like it's frozen.
Nah, you're moving. You're moving up
Oh, okay.
mine. Yeah.
Oh, it's going. It's going. Now it just went really small.
This
Yeah,
is.
there's a delay. So what's happening is that I guess the size that I was telling you to stop at, you thought.
How's that? It's gonna come. Give it a couple seconds.
Okay. A little bit bigger. And for those of you who are watching this video later and after this video posts, because we are live, these are the type of technical things that you accomplish that you have to get done while doing a live video.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoy. For those of you who are striving to become a motivational speaker or to do these type of things, these are some of the things that you work out in the beginning. And as time goes on, you get better and better, and you work out some of these things.
Yeah. And you also have to do it like I have, there's my wife, she went to an event, so I have my kid, the baby here is too. So all this stuff is not easy. And a lot of the things that you'll do in terms of like pursuing your goals and stuff like that, it's just not going to be easy. It's going to be really, really difficult. You're going to have so many excuses why you can't do it. And David, we could have had a lot of excuses tonight, right? Said we can't do it. So, but here we are.
Correct.
Yeah. So is it big enough on the screen there?
For the most part, it could go just like a tiny bit larger, just a tiny bit larger. I just have to remember that whenever somebody posts, there you go. That's good.
A little bit bigger,
When,
right?
when any time that somebody posts on here, try to put it up on your phone because then you can see how large it is.
I can't. Christian's playing on the phone. That's the only way I keep him quiet.
No problem. uh, no, it's no problem. Well, it's 8:30, so we're live. So people know that we go live at 8:30. So I mean, I think a good thing to do is kind of reintroduce ourselves so that people know if this is the first time that they're joining this live weekly video. My name is David Firpi. I am a motivational and encouraging speaker. So my goal is to help people to reach their true potential through understanding their purpose and getting to a point that they're no longer holding on to excuses and no longer holding on to the barriers that stop them from being the best version of themselves. And my partner, Carlos Hernandez, is here as well.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Kind of same thing for me. We have a mutual interest in helping people be their best. I think for me, if you talk about gifts and things like that, my gift is encouragement. I like to encourage other people. So again, David and I have similar goals and passions, and that's why we are here together. Now, you may see me at certain points just like run off or something like that. It's because maybe my son, like the TV fell on him, or he's like causing chaos in the house, and I'm like watching him and doing this at the same time. So in true fashion, true manly babysitting, right? We're trying to do a million things while doing something important. So that's me
Right.
tonight.
And I have the benefit of right now that as I am doing our live event right now, my wife has taken the girls to go to the store. So you may hear some noise in the background for one of two things. You may hear real life situations where my wife is coming home with the girls and going upstairs or going to somewhere else in our house, or you hear the dog and the cat fighting with each other um, because they just act like they like each other at some points, but most times they don't.
Interesting.
So it becomes like a ball of like the Tasmanian devil of them like going off and like fighting with each other, and you hear a bunch of noise going everywhere. So yeah, that's what we usually get.
Interesting. So yeah, I think David, this speaks to like how you don't have to be perfect to get started,
Right.
right? You don't have to be perfect. You just get started right where you're at. So a lot of people, we talk to a lot of people, and they come to us and they say, "Yeah, we watch the show you guys have, but man, it's just really hard to get started. I have a family, or I have these other responsibilities that man, it's just really hard, and I want to have like a perfect website. I want to have this. I want to have X. I want to have Y. I want to have Z, but they don't have it. But we don't. We're going with things that are really affordable, and we just decided, look, we just have to get started wherever we're at, even though it's not perfect right now.
Right. I think that's a common thing. I mean, before we get into like living a regret-free life or talking about regret, I think that oftentimes people something that will hold someone back is that they believe that, or they look at all these examples of people that are doing something that they want to do. So we look at a lot of motivational speakers, and we look at a lot of people that are spending their time pouring into others. And sometimes we can get wrapped up with being like, oh, our site's got to be like this. And, our materials, they have to look like this. And like our videos, they have to look like this. And what you don't realize is that some of those people have been doing it for 20 plus years. Right. So you get a lot of times that people are doing that, and they are doing this with tons of either support of people they have a staff, or they have a group that's working with them, or they have been able to just do this 100% of what they're doing. So one of the people that we listen to, which is he's a phenomenal speaker, is Eric Thomas, right? And it's one of the things that Carlson and I speak about, is because when you look at Eric Thomas, or it's called the hip hop rap preacher, right now, you can tell that they put a lot of work into their website, and he has a team, right? They have a lot of work that they put into building their materials and their videos, and they have a specific doing it. They have, certain model cameras that they use that are made for filming public speaking, and made for filming like promos and those kind of things. But when you look back at when they first started, you could tell it was Eric Thomas with someone filming him on the deck of his house or in the backyard. And there are times it's raining and he's still filming, and things are going on. And you can see over time the gradual progression of how better their materials and how their videos got better and how everything got better. And a lot of times, like, we want to be at the end result. We want to be like, let me just get there. And we don't want the journey, right? So I look forward, as we've been doing this for this period of time, I look forward in what we see and what we do, because it's helping us to get better and what works, what doesn't work for us, because we're not trying to be anybody else. Like, I'm not trying to be a motivational
Turn it down.
speaker like everybody else. I'm trying to be me. And the giftings that I was given, the giftings that God gave me, the purpose that I have is that I'm able, and I say this in no boasting way, but I think that you have to live in the purpose of what you have. You have to live in the calling that you have. So if you know that you're called to do something, then own that. And I know that I'm called to speak. I know that I'm called to motivate people and encourage people to step outside of their thinking and to do something more with their life. And that's the saying, right? That's the saying that me and Carl say is be more, do more. So if you know that you're supposed to be more than who you are, then there's so much more that you could be doing. And when I say do more, I don't mean like do more work. Work and grinding could be under that philosophy, but it's also like, what could you be doing with your time? Like, what could you be doing with your relationships? What could you be doing with the job that you already have? Right? What could you be doing with the finances that you have? Like, what could you be doing with the resources that are available to you? Right? Because when people say like, I don't really have resources, you have online, you have a phone, you have books, you have there's tons of resources that you have to step out and you have to do something with it. So we're at that point that we're gradually getting better and better, and we're gradually growing. And a year from now, when I look back, I know that we're going to look completely different. And what is it? It's July 21st right now, right?
Yep.
On July 21st of next year, we're going to do another live video. We're going to do a video where we talk about and reference this video right here, because this is 2016, and we're going to talk about where we were and where we are, and you can see the progression. And I encourage you to do the same thing. Like, look at the date that it is today, and then a year from now, look back and say, like, where have I gone? What have I done? Like, have I progressed? Like, am I still working towards that goal and working towards my calling, my purpose that I know I'm supposed to be doing? And if not, then what happened?
Yeah.
What were the things that stopped me from doing it,
Hey, here's an even scarier thought, and it kind of goes into what we're going to talk about tonight, which is living regret free. And the scarier thought is to get into a situation where you have to look back on your life in 50 years or 40 years, whatever it
Right.
is, looking back on your life. And as I'm doing this, my presence is being requested to start this video game, but I did that with my other hand. That's how multi-talented I am. So, yeah, looking back at the end of your life, and will you look back on your life with regret? Right? That's
Right.
a disturbing thought or a disturbing question. Like when you get to the end, because the worst thing that can happen is you can get there to the end and be on your in your last days, your last breaths, and kind of saying, man, I never really lived my life. So we're going to talk about that tonight. We're actually going to talk about a book. It's by a woman. Her name is Bronnie Ware, and the book is called The Five Regrets of the Dying. So the story is Bronnie was kind of like bouncing around from job to job, working in places that she didn't like. And what ended up happening is she ended up landing in a center, a large center that provided pain relief for the terminally ill. So people who were essentially on their deathbed. So what
Right.
she did was, while she was there, she asked them a question. What is your single biggest regret about your life? So she found out, she found five, like five of them were the ones that she most commonly heard. And she was there, she was at the center for years. So she had lots of research, and it's actually really impressive that she has given us this body of work. But we're going to talk through each one and let that drive our discussion tonight. So, David, anything before we start?
I think that oftentimes, like you said, fear can be the thing that holds us back. And I mean, we're going to get into some good points tonight on some of the things that that people regret, and most times. And I'm really think back to what I hear most often is when the question is asked to people that have lived their life in their minds, and they are looking back at their life. There's always something that someone regrets. There's always something that someone says they wish they would have done or they wish they wouldn't have done. And I think that most times people are not saying that they wish they wouldn't have. Most times people are saying they wish they would have. But we're going to get into that tonight as we start talking through the points.
Yeah, so I'm gonna start us off with the first one. So this is the number one regret. Number one regret that Miss Ware found and wrote in her book about. So number one is, and this is the most common one she heard. I'd wish I'd had the courage to live life true to myself, not the life others expected me to live. So as we go through these, you can kind of think about from your perspective, if tomorrow was the last day, how would you feel about these? Would you feel like you had lived the life or lived life true to yourself? Did you have the courage to do that? So David, what do you think?
I mean, I think it's interesting. So, like, the question is, like, did you have the courage to live life the way you wanted to, in essence, right?
Yeah.
And I think that lots of people would say, like, I do what I want. I do what I want when I want. And I spend my time doing what I want to do when I want to do it, right? And no one tells me what to do. And that's fine. But I think there's a huge difference between us doing what we want to do and actually stepping out into that life versus us talking a lot about it, if that makes sense. Yeah. A lot of people talk about what they want to do. A lot of people talk about what they want to accomplish.
I agree.
mean, do you notice that? I mean, I think it's a good percentage of people that I see on a regular basis. They do a lot of talking about what they ultimately want to do with their life. But when you ask them, how much time are you spending trying to get there, or how much time do you devote working on that goal, then it's surprising the amount, the answers that we get, right?
It's shocking. Like, it's like, I wanna do this, I wanna do that, but do we, like you ask, and it's a tough question because a lot of people don't want to hear the question. They kind of want you to pander to them and I don't know if be nice is a better term, or kind of support them, but man, support sometimes is not only, yeah, you can do it, but support sometimes is, hey, why, what are you doing towards it? Like you say you want to do this, but man, I don't know if your actions kind of match what you're saying. So, and you talk a lot about that, and it's so true. Like, I spoke at a basketball camp the other day, and I was telling them, like, if you tell me you want to be a basketball player, but man, all you do all day is play video games. You know Clash of Clans and Madden Mobile. If that was what you were trying to do, it matches, right? But right now, if you're telling me you're trying to be a basketball player and all you do is play Madden Mobile all day, that doesn't match.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's the same thing when people tell me, like, I'd like to start my own business, or I'd like to work for a nonprofit organization, or I'd like to...
I'd like to start a nonprofit. I hear that so much.
Oh, yeah. I hear tons of people that are like, what would be a good idea? I think, man, someone needs to start a nonprofit that helps underprivileged children to make their own T-shirts. Like, yeah. I hear all types of ideas and thought processes of what people should do or not do. But maybe the reason why you keep thinking about that is because it's supposed to be you. Yeah. That's supposed to do that, right?
Yeah. And I think people could think, like, here these guys are, and just because they started something, they think that they can tell us what to do. But that's not where we're coming from. I want everybody to understand we're not coming from that place. We're coming from a place of, man, we've been struggling to get started, right? We've been struggling. We've started other things in the past, and had some success, but we were in a place where we wanted to start. So but the experience of starting is so freeing, right? Starting and being in pursuit of your calling, being in pursuit and operating in your purpose, and we want you guys to feel that too.
Well, I mean, you mentioned something really important. I think it's operating in your purpose. I think that sometimes we believe that if you're doing what you're called to do, or you're living in that purpose, that everything that happens from that point forward is going to be success. Right? But living your purpose and living in your calling doesn't mean that everything you do from that point forward is going to be money, 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 and success, success, success. And it's going to be everything is going to work out in the way I plan for it to work. What it means is that you feel fulfilled and that you know that you have a purpose in what you're doing. So it's the difference between me working at a job or me spending my time doing things that I know I have no desire whatsoever. Like there's nothing inside of me that is speaking to my heart or speaking to my spirit to do that. Right? So it's the difference between me just doing something well, like, I can sell. Okay, I've worked for years in sales, and now I'm a corporate trainer who trains people on sales and trains people on customer service during the day, right, along with Carlos, and training leaders and training those kind of things, and that's great. But ultimately, I know at the end of the day, that's not our calling. That's not the purpose of why we're here. That's utilizing the talents that we were given to do something that it's going to do well at. But it's not the calling, it's not the purpose. Okay?
Yeah.
Right? So ultimately, are we actually living out that purpose? And that's what I think is so important for people to be doing, is like, if you know that you have a calling to do something, and especially the people that say, I would love to do that, but who am I? Like, where I came from, or the person that I am, or the things that have happened to me, like, no one's ever going to accept me as that.
Yeah, like, that's the biggest lie.
Right. It's so, like, we put walls up around ourselves that we can't do it.
Yeah. And I think the sad part, because the sub bullets to this in this one. So I'll read it again. The top 5 regrets of the dying. I wish I'd had the courage to live life true to myself, not the life others expected me to live. I think there's a hint of conformity in there, right? Because there's pressure to conform. And the sub bullets that she wrote in the book were about dreams unfulfilled. And here's a big one: is she said this quote, which I thought was very powerful. Health is a freedom that we take for granted until we no longer have it. So that not only speaks to health, it just speaks to opportunity. Sometimes, right, like, your window of opportunity is few, and that could be for you listening today. Your window of opportunity could be right now, and man, what could that window of opportunity close? I think there's certain situations where your window of opportunity can close, or things can get harder.
Right.
David, don't you wish we started this when we were 20 years old? Man.
Oh my gosh. Listen to me, man. I think that's one of the regrets that I used to work for Acquire the Fire. I used to work for Teen Mania. Okay. And one of the things that I did was I was on tour doing a drama. We went to all across the country and into Canada. We did conventions that went from, it could say 1,000 people to 10,000 people. Okay, that were huge events where you're doing drama and you have bands and you have speakers and they come. And I did that for about a little over 2 years, where I was in the drama and I was an intern for the ministry. And then I left for a little while, and then I came back on staff as one of the drama coordinators, drama directors on the half of the tour. We'll call it the summer half of the tour, or the fall half of the tour. And one of the things that it was momentum. So right when I left off tour, I was able to speak to just a ridiculous amount of people, and I was in front of huge crowds, and I had the ability that I was doing breakout sessions where I was able to talk to people about what are some of the fundamental things that you're at this event, and people are screaming that they love Jesus and that they want to serve God, and then when they leave, there were some fundamental tools they needed. So I was given the great opportunity to speak to a breakout session where sometimes that breakout session would have 200 people. Sometimes the breakout session could have 600 people. It just depends on the size of the event. And I remember that I I was deathly afraid over time of speaking in front of people, but I got to a point that I knew this is what I was called to do, right? And when the tour ended, I got all these requests to go speak at like camps and got all these requests to go speak at different events. And I kept thinking like, man, this is great. This is what I know I want to do. This is what I'm called to do. I'm going to keep doing this. And I would go and I would keep doing it. And I would keep doing it. And then what happened is I slowly started being like, well, if this is what I'm called to do, like, it's just going to come to me. Like, I'm getting all these requests, White. Things are really good. It's just going to come to me. Like, I get calls to do these events all the time. And so what I got was complacent. Right?
I like that. I like that.
Complacent to know that this was my calling, this was my purpose. People wanted me, so it was just going to come. So I didn't have to go after it anymore. And one of the biggest things that can hold us back is tasting a little success, especially in the realm of our purpose or our calling. Because then we think, I'm living in it right now. It's just going to happen. I don't have to do anything else.
Yeah, and I think too, like, you just mentioned like God. But sometimes, like, even in the church, for people listening who are believers, like, you hear the talk of, well, you have to wait on God. And I think you got to be careful with that. Like, that's true to an extent, but there's another side that you have to talk about with that.
Come on, man. Come on, no. Let's get real about this, okay? Let's get real, because we talk about this, okay? I don't know. It's one of the most aggravating things for me when people are saying, I'm waiting on God, I'm waiting on something to happen, and you know what you're doing? You're waiting on the burning bush to be in front of your house with James Earl Jones or Morgan Freeman's voice telling you that this is what you got to do, right? So, like, you want this audible voice with like lightning and thunder and smoke and fireworks and things telling you that I am calling you to go do this. So leave your job. Go do this. Start this nonprofit. Marry this girl. Marry this boy. Do this. Do that. I will take care of all your needs. You do not need the burning bush in front of your house to tell you to use the talents that God is giving you and to go out and do something.
Totally agree. Yeah.
We don't need that.
Yeah, but that's an excuse. So when you're talking about things, you have to talk about both sides. So that leads me into number 2. So number 1, top regret was I wish I had the courage to live life true to myself, not the life others expected me to live. So number 2 is, so this is the other side of that. The other side of some of the things we've been talking about over the past couple weeks. And the other side is number 2. I wish I hadn't worked so hard. So how do you reconcile that? So that's 2 different things, right? We've been telling people, go, do it. You have a job, don't care, go do it. Don't make an excuse, do it, start living in your purpose. But there is that other side, right? So let's talk about that.
So are we talking about, and for clarification, are we talking about, don't clarify for me what you mean, Carlos, because I want to make sure that when I go in on this, that I'm not hitting people the wrong way.
Yeah, I think either way you take it, once you get passionate, like I think you just got passionate there like before, and I thought it was great because you're not caring what other people say. People are going to watch this, and there's going to be a certain.
I could care less.
Yeah, there's going to be a certain percentage of people that get offended by that think he's yelling at me. No, he's just passionate about what he's saying. So
one thing I learned is that over time is that at some point I'm going to offend somebody. It's not my goal. It is not my desire to offend people on purpose. But if you're getting to hear something that the truth is hitting you and you need to hear it, and it offends you, then good. Yeah. Good it offends you. Because if change comes from it, and we've done what we're supposed to do.
The religious people hated Jesus. So, number 2, yeah, they did. The Pharisees, they hated him. So, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. So here's what I mean. Here's the subtext, or the sub-bullet, is that they felt like, they said this is what Miss Ware said. They said this because they said that they felt like they missed too many things. So they missed too much time with their family. They
Okay.
missed out going on trips with their family.
Okay.
They
Okay.
missed out on having fun.
Okay.
Man, they
Talk
just,
about work-life balance.
yeah,
That's what we're talking
they
about,
missed out.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Listen, I truly believe in having a real work-life balance. I think that there are times, there's seasons, right? There's seasons of our life that we have to be able to know that this is the season or this is the chapter in my life that I am going to be grinding like from morning to night, right? Because I have that capability to do that at this time. So if I'm single, man, listen, if you're single and you're young and all you do right now is have time, you're out of school and you have time right now, listen to me. You need to be working. You need to be grinding. You need to be using those talents that you have to work to get to the goals that you've set for yourself. Okay?
But you know what happens? That people think they have too much time. They're like, man, I got time. I'm like 20. I need to be hanging out, having fun with my friends. And then you get to where you're like 30 and you're like, damn, what happened to my 20s?
Listen, one of my favorite quotes from one of the most prestigious athletes is Muhammad Ali. And I mean, we were sorry to lose him in one of the videos. I pay homage to Muhammad Ali, man, because he worked. And one of the quotes he said is, work every day now. Kill yourself now so that you can live the rest of your life as the champ. And I look at that like, if you're young, and let's put this in true context, okay? If you're young, if you're middle age, if you're old, okay, because you consider yourself old. I'm not telling you that you're old. I'm saying that you consider yourself old. Or you come to a point where you're like, I think I've used up the majority of my life. And that means that you still have time because you can make choices right now to start doing that for the rest of your life. Today is the first day.
Yeah. Like go ahead.
Right.
Remember the lady we had today that told us that she thought it was pretty much over for her?
Right. So we did a corporate session today on growth mindset and fixed mindset, meaning that do you have the thought process that your brains you can learn new things, or do you believe that what you know now is what you're going to know for the rest of your life, that you can't learn anything new? And that's a separate thing that we can talk about, right? And we had somebody in the session who was an older woman, and so she was saying, this actually made me feel good because it made me believe and made me understand that even at my age, I can still learn value in the community. I'm still a value in the workforce, and people are going to want me because I can learn new things, right? But going back to what we were talking about, whether you're young, middle-aged, old, whatever part of life you're in, there are certain chapters that you're in, and you have to know the chapter that you're in your life and know the season that you're in your life to know how hard you can grind and you can work and what percentage of your day you should be spending on doing other things, right? And when I say grind, I don't mean like get up early in the morning, don't see your family, don't spend time with your loved ones, don't spend time with anyone, because I think that the right amount of recharge, the right amount of rest is important so that you have the fuel to keep going, which is why healthy body, healthy mind, healthy spirit, you have the ability to go and do everything you need to do, right? But I think that when you are younger, under a certain range, depending on the things you have, if you have no kids, you're not married, you don't have any other responsibilities except for maybe you're working a 9 to 5, maybe you're working a part-time. Maybe you're living with your parents and your parents are just like, you have the greatest gift right now that your parents are like, and your family's like, we support you, do what you're going to do, decide what you want to do, and then work towards it. Then you should be doing everything you possibly can at this time to get to where you want to be.
Totally agree.
No complaining.
Totally agree.
No spending hours upon hours doing things. And this is what I talked about earlier in the day when I posted the promo. If you got time to play Pokemon on your phone for hours upon hours and walk around the mall and drive to different locations and walk around Starbucks and walk around Barnes and Noble looking for Pokemon, then please don't catch me in a situation talking to me about how you don't know how to reach the goals that you're trying to accomplish.
Zay!
Right?
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm with you.
Right? Then we have our people that are middle-aged. They probably got married, or they married young, or they married now. They have kids. They have responsibilities. And they say, you know what? I'm just not happy in what I'm doing. I'm working at a job that David, I need to work. I need to bring in money to provide a life for my family. Right? There is nothing wrong with providing a life for your family. But you only have one go around.
Take him down and put him watch TV.
We only have one life that we can live. I'm not going to talk about YOLO. That's not where I'm going with this. But what I'm saying to you is, if you have a support system, if you have people that you say, listen, this is ultimately what I want to accomplish. This is what I'm called to do. This is what I want to do. Then start together of what you're going to be able to do. If you have 4 hours a day that you're going to be able to work and grind to do things to get you where you need to go, then do that.
Yeah.
If you have a spouse that's just like, I believe in you and I believe you're going to go. If you're a single parent, okay, that's even more fuel on the flames to do what you need to do. Why? For 2 reasons. One, you need to provide a long-term future for those kids and for your family. And 2, it's just not about money. It's about, am I giving an influence to my children that shows that you should be able to do whatever you want to do with your life if you work and if you give everything for it.
Yeah, I think too. Another big factor is impatient, right? You want everything right now, right? We do that sometimes, like with working out and wanting to lose weight. Like we'll go in for like a month and it'll be like hard in there, and it's like, okay, well, wait a second. You spend all your time at the gym. I haven't seen my wife in like a week, and because I've been at the gym every night. And then after a month, you burn out because you're like, well, I need to spend time with my wife now. I need to spend time with the kids. I've just been going too hard. It's because you want everything right away, right? It's much easier if you're going to lose 30 pounds. It's much easier to lose 30 pounds over a couple of months instead of 30 pounds in 30 days. But we want that quick fix. So that was good. Quick fix society, yeah. So that was number 2. So number 1 was, I wish I had the courage to live life true to myself. Number 2, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. Family time is important, right? So number 3, as we kind of have a couple minutes left here, have about 15 minutes left, so I want to get through these. Number 3 is, I wish, and David's been a good example of this tonight. I wish I had the courage to express myself. So the subtext here is what she wrote in the book is, a lot of people felt like they kept feelings inside to keep the peace. And they developed illnesses related to bitterness and resentment held inside. And David and I talk to a lot of people who say to us, and some of you may be listening, man, I want to be a speaker. Like, I want to do like this right now. I want to be a speaker. But the more you talk to them, the more you sense that fear that they don't want to come out and put a stake in the ground and give an opinion, especially if you kind of relate it to like events that have been happening in America over the last couple of days, or last couple of weeks with racism and stuff like that. A lot of people don't want to speak of it. They feel like they have an opinion on it, but they let stuff go because they want to keep the peace. And I understand it, and I feel like everybody should be able to express themselves in their own way, right? I don't want you guys to think I'm saying everybody should come out and say something on Facebook about what's going on. No, that's not it. But wherever you're at, you should express your dismay and displeasure with everything that's going on in the way that you know how. And the way for us, one of the ways is when we go and we speak, to kids and we speak to people. This stuff that's going on is nothing new. So when we go and talk about this stuff, this is why we do what we do. We want people to live above that stuff. We want people to be the change that we want to see. So yeah, you wish you'd had the courage to express themselves. So that was one of the regrets that people had. What do you think, Dave?
Well, I mean, I think like we want to make sure that people don't think that, like, when we say purpose, when we say living your calling, that we're saying to do what we're doing, right? Do what we're doing. You need to speak in front of groups. You need to get in front of a crowd. You need to be on video. You need to book speaking engagements. That's not what we're saying, because we're living in our purpose. We're living in our calling. So for some of you, it's you have all this trapped inside, and you have all these things that you want to say that maybe the way that you grew up, or the way that the surroundings you're in, or the environment you're in right now, you feel like oppressed, and you feel like you can't say something. And some of the ways that I found, suggestions that I give to people to kind of help them in those situations, is one, write a journal, use a journal. So I think a journal is a good thing, that you can kind of write down your thoughts, and you can get some of those things out, and it's yours. You don't have to fear that someone's going to read it and they're going to judge you. It's just, you can write whatever you're going to do. Two, it's finding a group. Like, there are tons of small groups. There are tons of organizations and groups that you can join in, where support groups, as you were to call it, where you can just talk to people, right? You can just join in the conversation. You can just sit and listen to people. And then when you feel comfortable, you can kind of voice your opinion and your thoughts. There are tons of blogs. Like, you want to voice your opinion, and you don't want something where you're going to get in a bunch of conversations with people, then become a blogger. I mean, that's a huge thing right now. Create a blog and put work into that, and make it something that people start following. You'd be surprised how many times people feel the same way that you feel, and they really, like, you're getting a lot of love from people from being able to do that.
Yeah.
But then the other thing I think is important is having a quiet time. I think that having a quiet time where it's just, I think it's important, because, we truly believe that to understand your purpose, understand your calling, like, you need to have a relationship with God, and you need to have something that's going to be able to ground you. And I think that having a quiet time where you're able to kind of zone everything out around you is so important, because it helps you to clarify your thoughts, and it helps you to get your thoughts in a linear way where you can express it better. Because I know tons of people that are most articulate people, if they write things down, but they're not the kind of people that want to be in front of a crowd or say something in front of a crowd.
Yeah. And I think too, I was at church the other day, and I saw, like, this guy, like, when they were singing during the worship time in the beginning of the service, this guy was just, like, going in. He was, like, jumping up and down, and like, man, you can tell he was really into it. And, like, I thought to myself, that's really cool that he feels that he can express himself like that. But I know that there were people there, like, looking at him and saying, "What is this guy crazy? Is like what's wrong with him?" And it made me remember, if you're, I don't know, I'm not a Bible scholar, but there's a story in the Bible where it tells about a woman that comes in and pours perfume, most expensive perfume, all over Jesus, and everybody was like, "Well, why in the world would she do that?" And he says, "Well, she maybe because she's been forgiven for more than you have." And it's interesting to kind of think about it, and think about that guy, and to think about, man, how many times do we hold back in expressing ourselves because of what people will think about us, what they will say,
right?
And
fear of judgment.
Yeah, like, that fear of judgment is so big, and it impacts us in so many ways. I think even in, like, my wife and I were talking about this, like, even in marriage. We talk a lot about business and getting started that way, but what about, I think there's a lot of people here who, not a lot of people, but maybe someone who is having a tough time in marriage. And one of the big things that, my wife and I had a really tough time in the beginning of our marriage. And one of the things we had to get to was being able to express ourselves to each other. It was so hard to get there. And, you have that, like David said, that you don't want judgment. You don't want to take the feedback. But, man, once we got to a place where we got better at that, things started to work a lot better. So, having the courage to express yourself, and if you're in a relationship, giving the other person courage to do that. Giving the other person
Well,
courage.
I think it talks to what we were saying. It talks about being regret free, right? It's the regrets of your past, of the decisions that you've made or the things that you've done. Is that holding you back from being the person that you are today or being the person that you're supposed to be, right? And I think many times we've made decisions as we were teenagers, or we've made decisions as young adults, or even as adults, or recently we make decisions that we're just not either proud about, or the consequences are not we wanted to. And by no means, listen, by no means are Carlos and myself saying that we're perfect, because I've made tons of mistakes in my life, and I've done things in my life that I look back and I go, I wish I had a time machine to go back to those people and telling myself, like, stupid, like, don't do this, like, this is bad, you shouldn't go do this, you shouldn't be spending time with this person, or you shouldn't be spending time with these people, or you shouldn't be involved in this activity or not this activity. And I think that a lot of times we let that old version of ourselves hold us back. When the reality is like, listen, you're a new person. Like, you can start a new day any day and move forward and be the best version, start working towards the best version of who you are. And those regrets are not something that hold you back. And for some things, it's like big events that have gone on. There's been death, or there's been real tragedy that has gone on. And it's not something, I say this by no light words of things to, hey, some real tragedy is happening in your life, and I'm not telling you to suck it up and just deal with it, but at some point, your life is that book, and at some point, you're going to have to go on to the next chapter in that book. And whether it goes on for a long time or it goes on for a short time, at the end of the day, that is your choice. So ask yourself, when is the next chapter going to start in my life? When do I want it to start in my life? Is it today? Is it tomorrow? The sooner I start with my next chapter, the sooner I can kind of see, like, what's going to happen. The sooner I can get to the next book or the end of the book.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. I think that's spot on. I think you said something about going back and, like, making mistakes, and I think that's a key to living a regret-free life. Like, being able to make those mistakes, and we've made mistakes in the past, and we're going to continue making mistakes,
Right.
And we're going to continue to fight through those mistakes. Daily mistakes. That's the beauty of it, right? We're not perfect. I think a lot of people are disenchanted and put off by religion because they feel like in order, like, what a lot of people are saying in religion is to be perfect, but that's actually the opposite of what it really is.
Well, that's what religion is.
Yeah,
I'm talking about religion. I'm talking about relationship.
Yeah.
So I think religious people, or religion is all about, like, you conform to what we think you should look like and what you should do. And this is look more like us. I'm not trying to look more like the people in church. I'm trying to look more like Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look more like, trying to get to a level that I believe that I am the best version of myself. But I'm not trying to be perfect, because in no way am I ever going to be perfect. But I can live my life on a daily, hourly, minute by basis to be the best version of who I can be, and hope that the time that I spend around others, that I leave them better, whether it's by they had a just good time spent around me, or they're encouraged, or whatever it might be, they leave a better version of themselves when I spend time with them.
Yeah. So that's excellent. So that was the three. So the first one, the top 5 regrets of the dying. I wish I had the courage to live life true to myself. Number 2 was, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. Number 3 was, I wish I had the courage to express myself. And number 4 speaks to what you're saying about being with people. I found this to be interesting, and this is probably the last one we'll get to for the last 5 minutes here. It was, I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. That was interesting. I didn't think that would come up on this list, but it did. The subtext here is they felt like they let golden friendships slip away over the years because of the busyness of life.
Well, I mean, that's the same thing that happens when, for a couple different reasons, when someone gets into a relationship or a new relationship, they often find that they are so engulfed in the relationship they're in that they lose the people around them. But what I've found, and this is my thought process on this, is that the people that you choose, I did a video on like the inner circle of people that use the circle of influence, the people that you choose to have around you is like your armor bearers and the people that you choose to influence your life. If the people around you that are in your inner circle, whatever age you might be, if the people around you have the same drive and have the same just passion to reach those goals and to grind like you're going to grind, then they will always understand what you are doing is for a purpose. But I will say that there are times where those people that you've allowed to speak into your life, they're going to be able to tell you like, hey, you need to take a break. You're working yourself too tirelessly. You have to be able to recharge. You have to be able to spend time with people that are supporting you, because you're losing yourself and you're losing the connections you have with people. And I think connections with people are important, but without taking away from who you ultimately are trying to be. But I think that there are times where you're going to have people in your life that either you made a decision that they're just not right for your life and they're going to move to the wayside. But I think we all have regrets about people that were in our lives that we wish would have stayed in touch and we wish would have stayed connected. It may not be as close as you want it to be. And those friends, there's still some friends that I have that I don't talk to them for a very long time. But then when I do have a conversation with them, when I do see them, it's like nothing has changed. It's like we just saw each other yesterday.
Yeah.
But effort comes from you. So if you want those relationships to stay, then, you got to do that.
Put some effort into it. Just like, again, back to marriage. It's the same thing. If you want your marriage to be good and you want things to go well, you have to put time into it. All right, so that was number 4. I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. So the last one, and we'll close on this one, is that I wish I'd let myself be happier. I wish I'd let myself be happier. They felt like they got stuck in old habits and patterns. The comfort of familiarity didn't allow them to get outside the box, and the fear of change. They just didn't want to change, so they stayed, even if it was unhappy. They stayed comfortable, just being unhappy. But hey, at least I'm comfortable, and I know this unhappy place. So.
But man, that's the worst thing. Like if I'm sitting in you ever when you were a kid, you took a bath and you were sitting in the water and you're taking a bath and it was fun at first and you're sitting in the water and then you start looking down and like your fingers start looking like hot dogs. Like they start like pruning and you start just becoming like it is. I've been in here for way too long, right? I just been in this for too long. I think that oftentimes people have gotten so comfortable in sitting and staying stagnant that they're no longer hot.
Yeah.
Right?
They're lukewarm.
Right. They're lukewarm. And even to the point that they've sat in it for so long that it's become cold.
Yeah.
And it's become dirty. And it's like something that like you got to pick yourself up and you got to go do something.
Like even in marriage, isn't that true? Like if you can 100%. Get stagnant. You can get stagnant, and even if it's unhappy and you're like, well, I just come home and I see my wife, and we like, hey, what's up? Yeah. Did you do this with the kids? Okay. Like me and Teresa and I have got caught in that a couple times, but you got to say, okay, well, we need to do something like different here. Let's go out to eat. Let's go out on a date. Let's go do this, because it gets stale, man.
Right.
Even the hottest relationship will get stale if you don't do something. Because a lot of times, like I'll get people who in like marriage coaching and stuff like that, and they'll say like, "Man, my relationship is I'm not happy, so I want to start a new one." So I'll say to them, "Well, let's first examine why you're not happy," and they'll say, "Well, I just don't have feelings for them anymore." And what I'll say to them is, and a lot of times, like we talk about encouraging people, but sometimes to encourage people, you have to be a little bit tough with them. So I'll say to them, well, what will happen if you didn't fix this? And they'll say, well, it may happen again in my next relationship. And I'm like, yes, it is going to happen in your next relationship. And that's why, you even look at statistics, and people who are in their second marriage are like twice as likely to divorce, because they never fixed the real problem which was within them. That was the problem. That it's going to get stale if you don't do something, and you're going to find somebody else attractive, right? Because
Right.
you're going to say, "Oh, this is new, and they're into me," right? So it's the same thing. It's the same thing with that, and it's the same thing with life in general. If you don't step outside the box, that familiarity, man, you get to the end like these people were talking about in the book by Bronnie Ware. Again, it's the five regrets of the dying. Um, you think about it, and it's like,
Right.
wow, like what did I do with my life? So
Yeah, man. It's again, we only have one pass at this, and I think that at the end of the day, I don't want to look back at my life and say that I didn't leave some sort of stamp or some like I want people to look back at my life and say like he was living in his purpose. Like,
yeah,
we heard Eric Thomas talk about leaving your mark. And that was a really powerful message of like, he knows that when he leaves this earth, that he's left his mark. Like people are going to know who he was, not just for they know his name, but that he's done what he was supposed to do. And and I don't say this in like a religious or like metaphor mindset. I mean it in, are you happy or are you satisfied or are you just content with the life that you have right now and the life that you're living and the things that you're doing in your life? Because if it's something that you're saying to yourself, I I'm not happy, but I don't know what else to do. Or I'm not happy, but this is the normal, right? This is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to be getting up in the morning and going to work and at a job that I don't like. And there's nobody that really loves their job, and everybody kind of dislikes their job in some way. And that's just not true. If you're working at a job that it's not doing anything to help you to develop those skills or to help you to get ultimately where you want to be, then I mean, don't just tell me that it's for the money, because there's tons of things, there's tons of jobs out there that are just for money that someone can offer you. But I mean, what are you really doing? And for the people that I hear people talk all the time right now that are saying to me, like you said about relationships, it's just like, don't I deserve to be happy? Don't I deserve to do what I want to do? I mean, at the end of the day, like it's just a very selfish way of looking at life. And I mean,
yeah.
again, I said earlier in the conversation, like I know I'm going to say something that's going to offend somebody at some point,
Oh,
and
I think it's too late for that, bro.
I'm completely okay with that.
Yeah,
But the mentality of I deserve this and I deserve that, and not going and working and doing anything to get there, man, it's probably one of the things that affects us so much in our society right now.
yeah,
You know,
people will say, "Well, don't I deserve to be happy?" Let me tell you
right,
something. You're about as happy as you're gonna get right now.
right,
That's a troubling statement. You're about as happy as you're gonna get right now. Like I remember, I wrote my first book, right? And I wrote it, and I was like, man, I can't wait till I get my first copy. I'm gonna have it. I'm gonna show people. It's gonna be so cool. And I did it, and I was expecting this feeling, and I was expecting to be happier, right? And I was like, but you know what? I don't really feel any different. I'm kind of the same, So I don't know. And I think a lot of times we think, hey, if I'm doing XYZ thing, I'm going to be, I'm going to be happier. It doesn't always work out that way, right? So it's a good thing to think is you're as happy as you're going to be right now. So if you aren't happy, there's a problem with you. It's not the things that are going on in your life. It's you. So you need to look internally and see what it is. If you're not happy in your marriage, you may want to look internally, right? Obviously, there's some circumstances that that's not true
right,
for every marriage, but
right,
most that I see, and most people that I speak to that come to me and Teresa that we help, it's a problem with them. And sometimes it's hard because you have to tell friends. You have to say it's you.
right.
And it's like they don't want to really hear that because they're busy saying it's my spouse, it's this, it's that. Is it no? It's you, and you have to change because you know what? No matter where you go, you're going to be unhappy. So did I
It
offend some
comes
people there?
it comes from within.
Did I offend people?
You probably did. I mean, at some point, I mean, it's probably somebody gonna be offended by what you're saying and what I'm saying. And I mean, I just the honest truth is like we're seeking change, man. Like I'm seeking to make sure that people are doing something that's gonna have them do something different than what they're doing right now. And if that's gonna offend someone, but it's gonna spark change, then I mean, let's do it.
Yeah.
Like I'm all about it, you know.
Yeah.
I think it's your spouse is not going to is your spouse is not responsible. Your children are not responsible to keep you happy. Your job is not responsible to keep you happy. Like, I think that happiness comes within my relationship that I have with Christ, my relationship I have with God. That's where my joy comes, which tells me that no matter what happens, anything that gets taken away, if all of my belongings and everything gets taken away, like my true happiness comes from Him. But I think that when you're living in the purpose that you have, when you're living in the calling that you have in life, there are things that you're doing that you're just going to feel like I'm doing it. Like I feel fulfilled in what I'm doing. Like when I'm speaking to people and I can look at their faces, I can see that they're getting it and that the light bulbs are going off and that it's connecting. Like that's when I know like I am living in that purpose. Like I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I am truly happy because I'm able to pour into those people. And there are plenty of times that probably in that same day, I either something happened that could take me out of that situation, that could take me out of that mood, could try to take from my happiness. And sometimes those situations and those circumstances, they succeed. It could be a person, it could be family, it could be friends that say something or do something that's going to pull from my happiness. But I have to remember that like it's a choice in what I'm doing. I'm choosing to be offended. I'm choosing to be happy. And so I have to continue to do that moving forward, you know?
Yeah. No, I like what you said about where your joy and happiness comes from because that doesn't change.
Right.
Yeah. So as we wrap up here, a couple of reminders. So we're going to be doing this show every Thursday night. So every Thursday night at 8:30. We kind of were I wouldn't say inconsistent, but we were just trying to see like how's it working out. Is the juice worth the squeeze? So it is from the feedback we've been getting and from things that have been stemming from events that have been stemming from the show. If you know anyone who's looking for speakers, who are looking for people who can facilitate discussion, let us know. We'd love to come out. We do nonprofits. We can speak at youth events, colleges that's an area that we're really interested in getting into. Speaking at more colleges. Any place to where they need a speaker to come and give the group some uplifting words or encouragement, we're more than willing to do that. We're also, like I said, we're going to be doing this every week at 8:30. So we want feedback. Let us know like how you think everything's going. If anybody's dissatisfied with the quality of the show, we will give you 100% refund, full refund for this show, right, David? What do you think? We can do that, right?
Full refund. I give you full refund.
Okay, cool. All right. So
money back guarantee for this show, for this live show that we're doing right now.
For this live show. So whatever you paid to get in, you get the money back if you don't like it. Man, we're really offending people. I think we should offend people more. It'll be more fun.
No, my goal is not to offend people on purpose. My goal is to help people. But to Carlos's point, I mean, I'm sorry, did I cut you off, Carlos?
No, go ahead.
A couple of things is, yeah, we're going to continue to do these live meetings. And again, like if you know people that you think would benefit from listening to this live, then share it on your page and have them like the David Firpi speaker page. If it's something that after they think that just some of the stuff that we talked about in the videos they would enjoy, or then share it on their page or send it to them in a message and they can watch it. There's tons of other media on the Facebook page, the page you're watching right now, of different messages and going through the different pillars of prime. And I just bring up different topics for our midweek motivation videos. Season 1 of Midweek Motivation is on there. And then soon on August 16th, I'm going to be emceeing an event for a company called the Sugar Chiffon. It's a baking company. They do cupcakes mainly. They're having a night of frosting on August 6th. And it's going to be at 7:30. It goes from 7:30 to 8 to 10:30. They're going to have cupcakes, champagne, coffee, tea, live music.
Nice.
They're going to have a raffle going on. So if there's something that you would be interested in, and you think you're in South Florida, and you're thinking that you need a night out with a significant other, or with your spouse, or you're single and you want to come by on your own, you want to eat some cupcakes and just have a good night, then come out. I'm going to be emceeing that. So you should start seeing some new photos coming up very soon on the Facebook page. And you're going to see some new things coming out. And then the very soon, I'm supposed to be speaking and helping a leadership organization, a nonprofit organization, reached out to us today to have me come and facilitate a meeting with their leaders on different fundraising ideas that they can do for their company. It's multiple. So next Tuesday at about 8:30 in the morning, I believe. We're still working out the logistics, but we get different types of requests for different things, whether it's emceeing events, or whether it's speaking at in a youth event, or whether it's facilitating some type of thing for a company, or for us to come and speak to workers and really kind of get them fired up about what they're doing at the company. We just love those type of things, man. I love speaking into people's lives and getting them encouraged and getting them fired up. That's really where my passion goes. And if it's for 30 minutes, it's 45 minutes. If it's something that you say, we'd like to book you guys to come on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, just come and just spark up our team and get them fired up, then we're all about it. We're all about it, man.
Definitely. So that's our show for tonight. Thank you guys for coming. Again, share. That if you want to help us, and I hope you do. If you do, share it. Share this video, and just pray for us. Pray for us on our journey. Things are starting to happen, and things are just going the right way. And man, just keep us in your prayers. And we love you guys, and that's why we do it. So, David, any closing words on the topic of regret? 30 seconds.
Don't let who you were. Control who you want to be. I think that's a big thing. And one of the big sayings that we've been saying at our events that has been really big on my heart, and one of the things that me and Carl's been talking about, is if you want to be more, so if you say that you are more than your circumstances and you are more than a conqueror, and that's who you are, then you need to do more. So be more, do more.
Yeah.
Right? That's something we say to the groups that we talk to. Be more, do more. And then the other thing is, we're actually looking for a title for these weekly live videos. So we're really interested in everyone's thoughts. So you can share it on the David Firpi Speaks page. You can post it after this video. After it posts, you can still post comments. We're really interested in what are some ideas. And if we like your idea, then the next time we go live, we'll give you credit for the name that we decided to go with, and give you kudos and put you out there, and really kind of get your name out there as well. So
yeah, we'll give you some free stuff. We'll give you some free stuff. Let's see who can come up with the name we use, and I have a lot of free stuff that I can get to you that will be of value. I promise.
Nice.
I promise. So come in with those names. Don't get offended if we don't use your name, the name that you provide.
Right.
If it was up to me, so this is last thing on this, and then we'll wrap up. If it was up to me, so when David asked, we start talking about this show, I say, oh, the Thursday thing, right? And because that's how my mind works. But David is like, no, it needs to have a name. And I'm like, really? It needs to have it? But see, that's one thing. Going back to the partnerships, Don't try to
Right.
be the solo person.
Right.
Don't try to be, Mr. Solo or Mrs. Solo, and you can't team up with anybody. Team
Play to
up.
your strengths.
Yeah, play to your strengths. Find somebody else. Find a group of people. If you can't start it on your own, start it with a group. Everybody do a little bit, and everybody play to your strengths, and you will get something that you're like, wow. If I bet you, if David and I weren't, partnering on this stuff, man, we wouldn't get much done at all. And all that we've gotten done is because of our partnership. So
Right.
so that's my last word. And on that note, we will see you guys next week.
Be blessed, guys. We love you. Be blessed. We hope to see you at an event or something very soon, if not on a live event.
All right, see you guys.